What would you do if the people you trusted most turned your life into a stage for their greed? For Jack Harlan, that question wasn't hypothetical, it was the Tuesday night that changed everything. Jack had always been the steady one. At 42, he lived a quiet life in a small Ohio town, working as a mechanic, fixing cars with the same care he put into his friendships. His hands were calloused, his smile rare but genuine. He wasn't rich, but he was content, living in a modest house filled with books and the hum of an old radio. His friends, or so he thought, were his family, people he'd known since high school, shared beers with, helped through tough times. But that night, as he walked into his living room, he found them waiting, faces drawn with a strange mix of pity and purpose. They called it an intervention. Sarah, his high school sweetheart turned confidant, stood at the front, clutching a crumpled tissue. "Jack," she began, voice trembling, "we're here because we care. Your gambling gets out of control." The others nodded: Tom, the loud bartender; Ellen, the nosy neighbor; even Mike, his oldest friend, who wouldn't meet his eyes. A banner hung crookedly on the wall. Intervention. Jack's stomach churned. Gambling. He hadn't placed a bet in his life, not even a scratch-off ticket. He stood frozen, his mind racing to make sense of the scene. Sarah pressed on, her words rehearsed. "We heard about your lottery winnings, Jack. Hundreds of thousands. You're not yourself. You're reckless, hiding it from us." The others chimed in, their voices a chorus of concern laced with something sharper: envy, maybe, or desperation. They spoke of his secret fortune, how it was tearing him apart, how they wanted to save him by managing the money. Jack's confusion turned to a cold realization. They thought he'd won the lottery. They believed he was sitting on a fortune. And this charade was their plan to take it. He let them talk, their words piling like bricks around him. Tom mentioned a trust fund they'd set up for his winnings. Ellen suggested a financial advisor or cousin, conveniently. Mike, still avoiding Jack's gaze, mumbled about debts they could all pay off together. Jack's heart sank, not for the lie they believed, but for the truth they'd revealed about themselves. These were his people, the ones he'd lent money to, stayed up late consoling, driven to doctor's appointments. And now, they were actors in a play he hadn't written, their masks slipping with every word. Finally, he raised a hand, silencing the room. "You think I won the lottery?" His voice was steady, but inside, he was a storm. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with feigned worry. Jack laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that made them flinch. "I've never bought a ticket. Not one. Check my wallet, my bank account. Hell, check under my mattress. There's nothing." The room froze. Sarah's tissue dropped to the floor. Tom's mouth hung open, his bravado crumbling. Mike finally looked up, his face pale. Jack stepped forward, his gaze cutting through them. "You heard a rumor, didn't you? Some story about me cashing a big check." He shook his head. "Small towns and big lies. Someone saw me at the bank depositing my mom's life insurance $2,000, barely enough to fix my roof. And you all built this performance around it." The silence was suffocating. Ellen stammered, "We just wanted to help." But Jack was done. "Help yourselves, you mean? You didn't ask me. You didn't trust me. You saw dollar signs and turned my life into a con." He pointed to the door. "Get out." One by one, they filed out, their intervention banners sagging behind them. Sarah lingered, tears real now, but Jack turned away. He didn't need her apologies. He needed the truth about them, about himself. When the door closed, the house felt emptier, but also clearer, like a fog had lifted. The next morning, Jack sat at his kitchen table, coffee in hand, staring at the life he'd built. It wasn't much, but it was his. He thought about the rumor, how it had spread like wildfire, turning friends into strangers. He could have been angry, but instead, he felt a strange gratitude. Their betrayal had shown him who he was, a man who didn't need wealth to know his worth, who didn't need a ticket to feel lucky. He stood, grabbed his toolbox, and headed to work. The cars were waiting, and so was the rest of his life. It wouldn't be easy, rebuilding trust or finding new connections, but Jack Harlan was no stranger to hard work. And as he walked into the morning light, he knew one thing for sure: no one could steal what he'd never chased. In the end, the only thing Jack won was clarity, and that was worth more than any jackpot.